I'll admit, this was some gas, but I'm a little confused. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here from Fat Doing to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact, here we are for a review of Chapter 5 of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, which is known as Senility. And this one is a good chapter, but a weird one. Not even in, like, the traditional JJK weirdness, but in the weirdness of, like, I'm not exactly sure what happened between chapters. Because I did go back and reread in the live reaction, which you can check out over on Patreon for as well. You can remember for those $3 on check out the live reaction to this video or to this chapter. I was like, huh? Like, it feels like something's missing. And when we get to it, I'll go back to chapter 4 and explain to you why I'm still a little bit confused, just based on what happened versus what didn't happen. It's a strange little interaction, and it's like it's not. I mean, it's kind of pivotal just because of how the chapter ends. And honestly, how it starts. So it is a pretty important thing that I feel like gets lost in translation. But then again, I may have missed it. I reread the chapter before starting recording again. But let's break it down. Let's hop into it. Let's not waste more time. Let's hop right into Chapter 5 of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, known as Senility. So we open up and we do get to see that a child is going, "Mommy! Mommy!" And the mother is like, "Oh, sweet Mother of Mercy. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Could you hold on a minute? Mommy, come here! Mommy!" And obviously the mother's like, "Be quiet! I told you I'd be on the phone for work, didn't I?" Which is still like, is that like, I mean, like, I'm trying to think, because obviously now they know the phones aren't actually like chips in their head, it's like the wristbands they wear. It's like, I mean, I guess it's more convenient, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like I guess they're probably armored. Notably, like, for example, I wear a wristwatch, but it's not any wristwatch. It's like, it's a very old Apple Watch at this point. The only reason it still functions after being so old and through so many bouts of water, and I sweat a lot, so getting soaked through all that, is because it's in an armored case. And like, notably, I don't know about y'all, despite me having half decent spatial awareness, I bump my wrist into things all the time. Like, legit, I'll pass by a wall, bump into it. I'll go through a door, bump into it. I bump into things a lot. It's why even some of my like wrist beads are even beat up a bit, because your boy be moving and bumping and hitting stuff. So like, if my phone or either equivalent device was like built into my wrist, I feel like I'd break it. I mean, maybe they're all armored though, maybe they're just reinforced, so I don't know. I'm not sure how effective that is. And notably, while holograms are cool, like in concept, how, like, is it that much better, more optimal, or more efficient than a phone? I don't know. I like notably, I'm down for, I know holograms like the way of the future or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like a phone would just be more convenient and easier. I guess because it's small, it's more compact, right? So you don't have to carry it. But notably, I like having the phone. Like, notably, we've seen them like type and enter stuff in them, but I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just old. I think I'm just old. Because yeah. I'm gonna date myself a little bit here. I remember when smartphones weren't smartphones and they had keyboards built into the phones when they weren't smartphones, and the numpad you had to use individually. Like, I know dial-up. I know so. I always forget how old I am until I hang out with any of the younger members of my family, and then I'm like, "Uncle Pencil or Cousin Pencil, what's this?" And I'm like, "That's a CD, child. What do you mean you don't know what that is? What do you mean you don't know what that is?" But then again, I'm old enough to actually know how to use a floppy disk. So like, I think I'm just old. But with that being the case, I do find like the whole like, and notably that would be tedious too. Notably, like, nowadays, I don't even have to hold my phone up to my ear to talk. I have headphones in and then I talk. So like, I don't know. I feel like the whole, it's a neat idea. It's a good way to show that technology has progressed and we are 68 years into the future that people are doing this now. But this feels like, if anything, like a side grade, if not a slight downgrade to what we already do now. So like, I don't know. Sorry, I went down a little tangent about that. But essentially the mother comes in and she's like, "Be quiet! I told you I'd be on the phone for work, didn't I? What are you doing?" And notably, I initially got a little bit disappointed in the mother. I was like, "Oh, why are you yelling at the baby?" But low-key, why does the mother have that on though? I'm just noticing the fit. The fit kind of goes crazy. Wait a second. She's got the baggy pants with the sash wrapped around the waist and the open button up. Whoa, wait a minute. Yo, she's kind of, I may have to steal that fit. And be like, "Pencil, aren't you a yeah? Still gonna steal the fit. I have a baggy shirt right in there." To be fair, I know where my baggy pants are. Notably, literally, if I ever go to a convention and I don't get an Organization 13 cloak, I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it. But conventions are usually hot, so I don't want to wear a whole Organization 13 cloak. But I'd go as Toji. And maybe like, "Pencil, why would you go as Toji?" I literally have Toji pants, like literally just straight up, like they are the Toji pants, except, you know, they have like ties and tassels to them. And I'd wear this shirt, like, obviously this shirt texture-wise isn't the same as Toji's shirt. Toji wears a black compression shirt, but like this shirt, the way it fits me, it's essentially the same as a black compression shirt, and it's comfortable for me. So like I'd wear this, the Toji pants, and very specifically, it's not this sword. It's that sword down there. I don't want to move that though. I'm afraid of the domino effect of what would happen if I move that sword. But I literally have an equivalent to SSK. I wouldn't like go out and like do like a whole Toji worm thing, but I do have a sword that's basically the SSK equivalent that I would wield. Like at least the blade design is similar. The sheath itself is different, but SSK doesn't even have a sheath, and it doesn't have the like the fluffy tassel at the end. I can like quickly throw that together. So if you ever do see me at a con, I'll probably be Toji or Kingdom Hearts character. And by Kingdom Hearts character, I mean just a character wearing the Organization 13 cloak. I could not pull off any Kingdom Hearts. I mean, like, maybe once I'm buff and fit, I could pull off Ansem, but Ansem would be so hot and so much work. The only reason I don't want to do a Kingdom Hearts character anyways, because I'd probably do the Org 13 cloak and maybe like a Zemnis, or even like a Xehanort, just go bald, or like put on a wig on for a young Xehanort. But even then, it's gonna be so hot, and I sweat way too easy. But with it being the case, she got it on though, and she is not actually being too mean. She's just annoyed that the child was yelling for her while on the phone to work, as the child jumps with an empty cup in their hand. And the mother asks, "What are you doing?" And the girl admits, I don't know, as water flies out of her cup. Now, funnily enough, I don't actually think outside of Dagon themselves, we had a single water manipulator in JJK. So this is an interesting starting point. I don't know why this was shown though. I'm assuming it has to feed into the other part of this chapter that was shown, which was Maru, right here at the start, who is still knocked out. Now, this is one of the things that I don't know, and I'll go back and explain why I don't know. I'm a little confused. We see how this person incapacitates people, but here in particular, or it can be coming back to this chapter later too, I don't, like, I'm assuming what happened off screen here is that they were stabbed by a needle, right? If I had to hazard a guess, but we don't see any stab wound on them. And I want you to take a note of where they supposedly, I mean, like, maybe, because of what they say here, what, feeling there'll be more, taking the custody immediately, wait, where's the line I'm thinking of? Yeah, I'm at the, so I want you to remember this line here, before we get to the point later where I'll bring about, like, what is happening in this chapter, like, timeline-wise, spacing-wise, where's everyone? Note that Tsurugi says, I'm at Masaki Takeda's house. But then she says, but I'm at Masaki Takeda's house. So remember this, and it'll be important later. But, with that being the case, back to chapter 5, Maru is still knocked out. However, the ground is starting to rumble. That's very important. The ground is starting to rumble. I wonder what that could be. But with it being the case, we turn the page and we see that this individual, they just got a teeny tiny bit of motion to them as they get moving. And notably, this is in fact an older gentleman. But since I don't like doing the older gentleman voice for this character because they seem a little bit too spry for that, and also it don't really matter all too much, I'm gonna go with this voice. Didn't your mama ever tell you kids shouldn't play with fire? And we see that Tsurugi is absolutely whiffing. Actually kind of bummy right here. Getting absolutely outplayed by this presumable very old individual. Like relative, like extreme. I just answered one of my own questions from the live reaction. I gotta tap my own brain on that. That finally clicked for me. But with it being the case, this old man has motion. There's the rest of the song I just don't know the time I had. But with it being the case, didn't your mama ever tell you kids shouldn't play with fire? And now I need y'all to be honest with me. I need y'all to be honest. Like, don't worry, this is a safe space. This is a safe space. Were any of y'all also interested in fire when y'all were young? Like, just a little. I'm not talking like y'all wanted to light things on fire and burn things, but like, just fire in of itself. I don't know. I always found fire very interesting. Like, notably, I remember young me, there were matches in my grandparents' house. And what I would do is I'd take the match, and I'd pull one out, and I'd light the match, I'd look at the match, and then I'd watch it burn out. And then I'd, like, put water over it, make sure it shut out, and I threw it away, and make sure they never found it. Like, it did that. And one time, when I was super freaky, super deaky, I turned the stove on, and I, like, rolled up a paper towel, and then I put the paper towel in the stove fire, watched it light on fire, watched the fire go from blue, because it was a gas stove, blue to red when it started to light the flame on fire. Then I threw it into this thing, put water on that, and stomped it out. I was like, get rid of it. I don't know. In my youth, I played with fire. Is something wrong? Am I secretly a pyromaniac? Like, I haven't done that in years. Literally, well, it is sad that I can't say years anymore. I haven't done that in decades. Plural. Oh man. But essentially, was anyone else like that, or am I just wrong? Am I just great? Was anyone else not fascinated with fire? Like, I was told not to mess with it, and I mostly didn't. But I don't know, something about fire just just call my name. But with that being the case, they got motion. Like, look at the movement here. Like, how many of y'all could hit this? Like I know all JJK characters are superhuman to some degree, but look at this. Tsurugi whiffs the overswing. And, you know, actually, maybe I'm starting to answer my own question here. My only thing, no, the reason I can't say, it really depends. It really depends. I'll explain what had me confused, because now, just as I answered a question from earlier, from live reaction me, now in my own head, now I realize it, I'll get to it in a second. I'll remind y'all and tell y'all what that question was. But I have an answer for it now. I have a possible answer here, but I'm still not sure about it, mainly because of just the uncertainty of the chapter and how everything flows. But, no, Maru's position, he's on the ground, things are starting to rumble. But this man has motion. How many of y'all can hit this? The one-arm handstand into the cat grab with a wide arcing spin into a backflip. Or possible, is it a backflip? It seems like it is almost like a backflip into the 1-foot recovery. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a big guy. But that's no excuse. Have y'all ever seen the Lat Man? Like big, beefy, straight, large, muscular. That man can move. There ain't no excuse for a big fella like me not to be able to move, except I just don't move as much as I should. So, like, I'm trying to fix that. In fact, another thing, real quick question for y'all. Right now, obviously, if you have shoes on or socks, I know a lot of people listen to me in a lot of different areas. But if you're like your boy right now, currently I am recording in flip-flops. Can you spread your toes out? Think about it. Like, not like how you can splay your hand out. Your hand is usually like this. Your toes are usually like this too, right? Like, they're all put together. Can you spread them out? I can spread them out completely fine on my left foot. Pretty darn far, in fact. I'm not going to show you because I'm scared. But I can do that on my right foot. On my left foot, I can mostly spread them out, but they stick together a lot more than the right foot. Like, notably, my pinky and big toe are like gap out like this on the right foot. In terms of the left foot, I can literally, I have to focus really, really hard. And I can separate the left three, but in very small gaps. And then the big toe and the toe right next to it, I can separate them by putting the big toe down or to the side a little bit. But it's hard for me to separate them laterally. Keep moving. I know I'm old. I know so a lot of my viewership is either as old as me or getting up there. So, like, make sure you keep moving. The body will quickly rigor mortis itself. So just keep engaged. Keep in motion. That's what I'm trying to do now. Another thing that I ask y'all to do. Obviously, I'm recording right now. I'm in a space where I can do this. Note, let me know if y'all can do this. Can you? Nah, I'm sorry. I know I'm super far from JJK, but I just because of the motion, I'm thinking about it. Can you? Let me see. See the back? Can y'all do that? Can y'all do this? Can y'all put your arms behind each other and touch your hands together like this? Because no, I can do that with that way. I can't do it at all this way. I literally can't do it at all this way. But this way, I can do it. So, like, that's once again, that's a flexibility thing. Make sure you can keep doing that. Because I have younger family members when I ask them to do that and they just did it easy. So, like, youth is a beautiful thing. Make sure you stick to it. Make sure you keep stretching. Get them shoulders loose. And nope, being big is not an excuse. One of my younger cousins is very, very buff, and they were able to do it easily just so they have good mobility. So stay mobile. But with it being the case, back to the chapter itself. Enough of fitness and life tips with pencil. We are back with Tsurugi admitting, darn it, I need to hurry up and take care of him so I can check on Maru. No, once again, they were at a house, but now they're in a new area. They seem to have run to this area. So there was some battle off screen. This isn't a complete direct continuation off of last chapter. I'm assuming that's what this intermission was for. It was to build up for some time for there to be some motion between these two places. But with it being the case, we see that Tsurugi admits, everything turned out exactly like we predicted. The one thing we didn't expect was this. So essentially, they were kind of right in the sense that it was a curse user. A curse user was pretending to be a first grader, and they were catching bodies. Body after body after body after body. They were catching bodies. So they ended up being right. They just didn't expect this curse user to presumably be this powerful. As we see that this is, I'm assuming this is the name of the curse technique in one of its applications. Maternal Wraith's Fury. Marmalade Boy. And we see Marmalade Boy themselves hit a little. I'm sorry. I'm mostly sorry. I'm kind of sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry for that. But with it being the case, they lick their lips and notably pull out a needle. And of course, literally, I'm looking at Silk Song on my PC right now. I've banned myself. I've hard banned myself from playing the game unless I'm on stream. Fun fact, you do streams every Friday at 8 EST over on Twitch. roll through for your boy. I do greatly appreciate it. You can, if you ever have any questions, you want like live immediate reactions to me, be not afraid. I will be on Twitch. I'm gonna try and stream more though. Notably, I'm bulk recording right now. This will be, in fact, I think this is the final chapter review for today because all chapters have dropped, at least on Viz, the ones I can review. I'm pretty sure I've already recorded, and Sakamoto Days is already up at the time of recording. I've already recorded Each of the Witch. I've already recorded Kagurabachi, and now this is the last one. I just recorded the live reaction for this, and now I'm recording the review. So 4 things will be up. The reason I'm doing that is so I can be all set through Wednesday as I'm recording on Sunday as all the chapters have dropped. And then hopefully I can stream even more throughout the week. Obviously, I will be streaming, trying to stream consistently Fridays at 8. But hopefully, I can stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I just like to stream. I would love to be there available for you all so you can ask questions for me directly. Because sometimes I can't get to all the comments. I still do work like a real full-time job, so I still have other things I need to do. But hopefully, I can stream more as long as I have some stuff pre-recorded. So hopefully, I'll see you on the streams. That got the Twitch, that got the controller. The link to my Twitch is in the description down below. It's on the channel bar. Let's go follow. Obviously, I will also not, you won't just have the follow notification. I will also be posting in the YouTube community post that, hey, I'm live. So if I'm ever live, know that that will occur. But all that being the case, we see them hit the licky, licky, licky. And the reason I brought the whole stream thing is because since I banned myself from playing Silk Song, any sight of needle imagery is like, I was like, I need to play more Silk Song. Because I actually really do like the game in that like little 2-hour section I played with. But with it being the case, they hit the Slurpy Derpy, and notably, Tsurugi's like, this old geezer. They didn't really expect the curse user to actually be this old, this devious, this diabolical. And notably, the apron says mother, which I could not tell. But then again, I do not know any symbols at all. And this is a very, very clean design. Notably, I'm not even just talking about the Wraith. We saw this last chapter. I actually like the old guy's design. I like the mix of the clothing that just doesn't seem to fit him, and the extreme amount of aging this individual has gone through. They are clearly rather old, and they still got motion, which gives me hope. Like, honestly, when I'm old and gray, I still want to have a little bit of motion. I'm not gonna expect to be competing with my 20-year-old grandkids if I'm lucky enough to have them, but like, I want to not be immobile. I want to be, if anything, like both of my grandfathers, who are very, very, or one of them has passed away. One of them is still very, very mobile and very, very active, which I hope I'm able to maintain. And notably, my other one who didn't pass away lived for a very, very long time and was mobile and active all the way to the end. So like, I want to be in good enough shape for that. And it'd be amazing if I could be in good enough shape for this. But essentially, I really like the old design that Yuji Wasaka-sensei did here. I'm assuming because Geigi's doing the storyboarding for the series that they also come up with the designs. And if so, Geigi did a fantastic job. It is very reminiscent of a lot of the older characters we saw in JJK prior. Very specifically, what comes to mind, which was going to be important later, is the master of the symbol domain. Remember that the symbol domain was locked to certain people who made a binding vow deal with the original symbol domain creator. That old design reminds me, that older individual design reminds me a lot of this older individual's design. And I like it a whole lot. I like the contrast of the young boy clothes on the very, very old individual. And they are quite freaky as the way they lick their lips. While Tsurugi is a little freaked out by the fact that they are this freaky as they lick their lips and wield a needle. But with it being the case, Tsurugi is impressed to find that this old geezer ain't no joke. He's strong. This guy isn't just some chump. He might have the skills of a grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer. Which is very impressive. I think notably because the back half... Yeah, I'd say the back half of the series introduced like monster after monster after monster after monster after monster that would make all the grade 1 sorcerers we've seen look like jokes, whether that be EOS Yuji, Maki, Yuta, Hikari, like a bunch of very powerful characters on the good and bad guy sides. Urame, technically Ryu wasn't a bad guy, at least in my opinion, he's just goated. Ryu, or like we've met a whole bunch of monsters at the end of JJK that I think a lot of people kind of forgotten that grade 1 was actually a very high pinnacle to reach. So it is impressive that Tsurugi's able to compete with someone who's on the level of a grade 1, and at the same time it's very impressive that this individual, very clearly in their advanced age, and hey, the chapter is even titled Senility, so you know, they're actually a little bit old, that they're able to keep up these skills and be this capable. Which implies that this person may have fought Jujutsu sorcerers before, but considering that this is the first time they're being investigated by JJK High, I honestly highly doubt that. So we see, they swing, they stab, but not only that, Tsurugi's being a little bit outplayed here, as when the older individual, who I don't think we get a name for this chapter, I'll just call them Takeda, even though I'm not sure if that's actually going to be their real name, but Takeda here does stab at Tsurugi, seemingly with, but at that point had caught Tsurugi with the end of their thread, and yanks it in order to drag Tsurugi into the ground, seemingly getting his ankle, pulling it down, but of course Tsurugi does manage to react in time and slice the thread that's holding them, only to be hit with the setup of Doom Despair, as the Kallion, which is what the Samorians call it, but the Shikigami is still able to move, and notably is wielding the other end of the thread. So notably, if you look at it, the Kallion itself has 2 needles, while Takeda himself only has 1, and this will end up playing into something important later. But we see that the Kalyan actually isn't wielding both needles, and rather is focusing one needle into both of its hands to stab Tsurugi directly in the dome. But Tsurugi does manage to cut themselves free? Cut themselves in three? Really? Tsurugi didn't do that. But cut themselves free and then roll out of the way of the downward stab. So this Shikigami is definitely able to cooperate in the same league as Takeda themselves, but notably is definitely not as fast as them and clearly isn't as coy. Their attacks are a lot more direct, which is going to be very interesting considering what we find later. But with that being the case, we know that Tsurugi does dodge, which is hilarious, right? Because he does get tagged here anyway. He does dodge. You can see that he's bleeding from his forehead. But he will go on to call the Kalyan itself. Now I'm so focused on calling it a Kalyan because that's what I remember from last chapter. But the Shikigami itself is supposedly slow, according to Tsurugi, but he still gets tagged. So, Tsurugi, if it's slow, what are you? Slightly not slow? But with it being the case, Tsurugi says, you ever think about using that power to help people? To make the world better? And notably, Takeda admits, I'm sorry, if you hear certain music in the background that isn't like traditional either Kingdom Hearts or Fire Emblem music, it's literally because neighbors are partying. I don't blame them. It's a beautiful day outside as the time I'm recording, but I want to get these done right now. So I had to record at the same time. It'll be there. Editing me is going to try and do something with the sound dampening, but unfortunately, even with the mic being completely turned away from the window where it's coming from, I can still hear it clearly, and I can see it registering on OBS. But hey, these things, hopefully editing me can do something about that. We'll see. But all that being the case, we see that the Takeda admits, there was a time I'm going to give him the old man voice. I was going to just stick to the old woman voice, but actually, I don't mind it. I'll do the old man voice. The Takeda admits, there was a time I might have thought that. Well, that's your youth talking. Age strips away that softness. In time, even you'll see that saving a life saving a life feels no different from taking a life. It won't move you at all. And Tsurugi admits, yeah, I don't plan on rotting away like that. And that is true, right? Like, ultimately, age is a funny thing. And chapters call it senility, so obviously we're talking about age. But age is a funny thing, right? Because notably, I've seen both good and bad aspects to quote unquote age as like a progress point for humanity. Like notably, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, as you get old and bitter and more jaded, you're gonna stop caring so much about other people and what they think and believe. Notably, I have, but not in the negative way. I've seen some do. Like a lot of people get older and then they get mean for no reason. Like, why do you care about what one person believes in and or identifies as and or looks like? Like, personally, I never got that. I don't know why that's a thing. Like, what does it matter? Oh no, this person likes that person. They're not at all. You don't even know that. Like, you've never even seen that a day in your life. Why do you care so much? Like, that's one example of people getting old and getting strangely weird and judgmental, in my opinion. But notably, as I've gotten older, I've only grown to respect people more, yet simultaneously care. It feels weird to explain it, but like, how do I put this in a way that makes sense? I have less opinions on things because I'm more accepting. If that makes sense. Like, for the longest time, I didn't get certain things, but now I'm like, it's fine. If they like it, they like it. I think the phrase that comes to mind is one that you'll commonly hear depending on where you're from. If they like it, I love it. That's kind of how I feel most of the time. As long as you're not directly harming anybody else, cool. Whatever you're into, you're into. Like a recent example from another manga review, in Ichi the Witch, there's a certain thing happening in that universe where things that you wouldn't think are bumping things. And at first, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But then it was explained to me. I thought about it. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Never mind. As long as they're cool with it. And they're cool with it. So they're doing the things in that universe. I'm like, that's fine. Kind of same thing with our world. I'm like, okay, people do things. That's fine. But in the same way, I'm not desensitized to it despite being older, to the point where, like, yeah, if you're trying to harm somebody or take away their freedoms, I'm still not cool with that. That's weird. Why are you doing that? Let's not support that. So, notably, I somewhat see what the guy means, but at the same time, I'm not as old as him, and I'm not senile just yet. I don't think. My synapses is on fire as quick as they used to, but still, I don't think I'm gone yet. So, it is interesting that he says something like that. Even taking life won't feel different, or saving life doesn't feel so different from taking a life. I don't know. Helping people has always felt better than hurting people. Maybe like, Pencilman, I thought you didn't hurt people. I'm a very big guy. I knocked around some people, alright? I still accidentally do. Sometimes if I don't notice you, I will bump into you. And especially I, because I'm a big guy, move with a lot more force than what seems real to me. So if I ever bump into somebody, I do tend to knock them over, unless they are also comparable to me in size, which is not unrare, but it's rarer than you think. For reference, I'm 6'2", like 230. And I walk fast. I have long legs and I walk fast, so I bump into people occasionally. So that's technically like me hurting people, but helping somebody up always does feel different to me. Then again, I'm not super duper old, and I also don't have superpowers, so maybe it does get different. But with it being the case, we see that the man says, "But strangely, there are some chords in the human heart that never stop resonating, no matter how many times they're struck." And we see I guess I'll call it a Kalyan, the Shikigami pull a veil over the Marmalade Boy's head. And notably, I do want to point out that the technique is called Maternal Wraith's Fury, Marmalade Boy, as if the boy himself is the technique and maybe the Shikigami is controlling him. I wonder what that could mean. But we see that he explains his motivations, essentially. "And pulling yours as you walk down the street lined with cherry blossoms, the weight of an oversized backpack, the first time you're given a number representing yourself, realizing there's a whole world out there. I loved being in first grade, so I want to be a first grader over and over again, forever." Now see, that's weird. I mean, to each their own. I know nostalgia is a big thing, right? And like, there's some, but notably, I guess because my memory is just bad, I don't fully remember any of my like school experience. Like, if you were to ask me, "Hey, Pencil Man, what were you doing on X day at X time at this point?" I would shrug at you. But I remember all my teachers' names and faces. I remember a lot of my classmates' names and faces. Like I know that stuff. And I have positive associations with certain moments. Like, there's some moments of that time period I like to relive. But, like, especially because I just don't remember much of my youth. Like, my memory doesn't get, like, real solid for large chunks until, like, I'm 10. Which is pretty bad, I will admit. But, like, even the moments of my, like, super youth that I remember, it'd be nice to relive them. But I don't know, it's different. Like, I'm older now. Like, I even think of, like, some college experiences. And I've been out of college for a bit now. And I'm thinking, like, would I really want to go through the entire thing again? Not really. Like, even there's one thing I always tell myself: if I ever start working for a company that would ever pay for it, I'd go back and get another master's or just another degree in general for the love of the game, because it's free and I'd like more paper. The only time I'd ever get a doctorate is so I could literally just say I'm Dr. Pencil. I wouldn't actually go become a doctor, but like, I wouldn't mind going back to education for that exclusively just to have that. Because I think it'd be funny, and notably there would be another doctor in our family, which would be hilarious because there are already a couple. And notably, I'd be the one I'd be the second of basic, because there is one doctor who has a doctorate, but obviously they're not a doctor. You can get doctorates while not being a doctor, fun fact. But essentially, I'd be the second one. I think it'd be really, really funny. It'd be unique. But even still, I'm not really desperate to get back into a classroom. Or go through the monotony of classes and writing papers. Like, that's the thing. It's why I'd honestly never go back, even though I actually like school. Yeah, I was a nerd. I am a nerd. I like to learn. I like information and stuff like that. And there are things about that were fun. But it's like, the overall structure, I wouldn't really want to relive that. Especially like, to do it over and over again forever. Like, that feels like empty, dog. I don't know. But I think it's because I at least believe one of the core foundations of human progression is just that. Or no, one of the core foundations of the human existence is progress, right? The fact that you can really never go backwards. You can loop certain things over and over again, right? Like, the idea of insanity being that you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results isn't actually all too true. Not only because that's not the literal definition of insanity, but also think of anyone who goes to the gym, like your boy. I go to the gym every single day, as long as I can make it. Usually, literally every single day. Like, I've gone every single day this week. I'm gonna go every single day next week. Well, to be fair, Sunday is time recording. But like, every single day last week, I'm gonna go every single day again this week. I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm expecting different results. Why? Because I'm literally getting stronger. Like, literally past me and current me, like the me from a year past and the me now, pretty much the same way. Well, no, actually, it was much heavier. I was like 30 pounds heavier. But still, me from a year in the past to me now was doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and I have different results. I'm much stronger now. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, I can just one hand openly, like, look at me backhand wielding this actual metal replica Mjolnir. I almost smacked myself in the face with it. I can more easily wield the full metal Buster Sword I have stored back over there. I can one-hand Rita finally, my Rita replica. Like, I've gotten legit stronger from doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm not saying that you can't gain anything from doing something like that, but specifically, like, something as structured and regimented as, but then again, gym is also structured and regimented. I don't know, it's a weird thing, but notably, I wouldn't fully get it. I don't fully understand it, but I do understand the human want to go back to a certain time. That I do get, if that makes sense. If you know what I'm talking about. With it being the case, we see that Tsurugi says, "That's great. Keep talking. Makes it easier for me to kill you." But then, suddenly, Mr. Marmalade Boy here repeats, "In time, you'll see that saving a life feels no different from taking a life. It won't move you at all." And Tsurugi says, "You said that already. But strangely, there are some chords in the human heart that never stop resonating. Like I said, you already..." Huh? Wait, is the cause of this whole incident an elderly curse user who went senile and lost control? I loved being in first grade. I want to be a first grader over and over again. Now, half of this definitely, or a part of this definitely could be senility, but notably, just in the same way that last chapter was good at building on itself to a certain, to imbue certain twists, I think this is another idea of a twist that was really in the chapter being imbued in here. Or simply the assumption that would come with this person's age also being used against Tsurugi and our youthful characters. But we see that they go, "No." Oh no, this is Tsurugi saying, "No, I feel sorry for you," as suddenly the disguise made by the Shikigami immediately begins to fall apart. And we see that suddenly he seems to come back, or at least the Marmalade Boy seems to lock back in and say, "I'll teach you the trick of keeping your wits about you. Just don't wise up to the fact that you can." Now, once again, unlike the other two things I thought of earlier, where like my brain is like, I get that now. I still don't get what this means. I'll teach you the trick of keeping your wits about you. Just don't wise up to the fact that you can. Like, is that, like, I'm not sure. Is it the idea that as long as you don't pay attention to the idea that you have wits, that they won't fade? Like, as long as you make them a subconscious part that gets activated entirely autonomously, then you don't have to worry about ever losing them because they'll always be activated autonomously? I don't know. I think that's what my brain is saying is the most likely option. Still feels a little weird though. I'm not sure entirely. Like, that this is a very common case of me being like, what do you mean by that? But I'm guessing that is kind of the thing. There's some things I also do subconsciously now. Like, notably, a thing that I've learned, and notably I was trying to like just figure out how to help my speech pattern and stuff like that. Now, instead of saying no problem, I say happy to help. It's the same thing, but it just sounds nicer, right? I'm happy to help. Because usually I am. If I'm helping you, I'm usually happy to. It's very rare that I'm like, oh, I'm doing this against my will. Because usually, if I decide to help you, I wanted to, and I'm happy to help. But by doing that, it sounds a lot nicer than no problem. Because no problem insinuates that it could have been a problem in the first place. Happy to help just sounds nicer. But now, I don't even do it actively anymore. Where at first, I'd be like, oh, wait, don't say no problem, happy to help. Now I just say, happy to help, no matter what. Or notably, like, now it's become so routine, I don't even fully say happy to help, I say happy to, right? Like, if someone says, oh, thanks for the assist on that pencil, man, I'd be like, oh, happy to. And I just walk. It's instinctual to me now. So I guess that's the idea? That's not even wits, that's like a phrasing statement. So I still don't fully get what he means here. If anyone knows, help your boy out, because I don't get it. But with it being the case, we see that Maru does something very Maru, I keep messing up. Tsurugi does something very, very interesting here. They activate new shadow style, simple domain. Oh. And there's another thing into the twist before we get to it, and I explain it, and how I like it, how it builds into it. Marmalade Boy. What is marmalade? Marmalade is a drink made of fruit preserves. Think of preserve. It is very, very loud. I'm sorry, editing me, buddy. You're gonna have to just work with this. I think I will have to. Luckily enough, this is the last video of the day, so I don't have to record anything else after this. I want to record a live reaction video, but I cannot do that. Well, maybe I'll see. Because I want to get another one up. I only have 2 up right now. But with it being the case, Marmalade Boy, marmalade is preserves, and then here, very specifically, maculation. Sorry, it's just the word that brought attention to me. But new shadow style, simple domain, maculation. What is maculation? Maculation is, let me make sure I say this properly. Maculation is the state of being spotted, a blemish in the form of a discrete spot. The arrangements of spot, and this is it. It is definition 2b. The arrangement of spots and markings on an animal or plant. So obviously, it's just the arrangement of spot or markings. This is a scatter point, simple domain. Very, very unique. Very different from the symbol domains we've seen, as usually symbol domain is just a circle. And notably, we get a very interesting statement here. One that does make me wonder more and more about Tsurugi's potential, or whether or not he even has any. If he is really the new Megami, in the sense that he has potential, but he will never reach it. As the old man, Takeda, says, "Hang on, is this brat from one of the big three clans? So he's got a heavenly restriction that traded his cursed energy for incredible physical abilities, and he uses the cursed energy channeled into his cursed tool to perform new shadow style? Pretty darn impressive." So, this is weird, right? And you want to know why I think it's weird? Let's go all the way back to chapter 1. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. All the way back, all the way back. Where is it? Bada boom. We're top tier curse with the spatial transition barrier technique. And late to you, Maru, Yuka. I'm going after the kid. You two report back to Asami. Nothing going with you because I'm going to prove I'm stronger than you. So essentially, note that he gets teleported, and then note that when Maru asks, "Wait, why did it only take Tsurugi?" His Sakanda left behind because the cursed tool. The barrier is repelling anyone with too much cursed energy. It's to keep sorcerers from breaching it. That implies that Maru has cursed energy all his own. The only excuse I could hypothetically see here is that technically since he has the ring and it's so close to it registered. But then, again, if the ring is meant to hold even a piece of Rika who had infinite cursed energy, how is Maru teleported at all? I've seen a lot of people use the, admittedly, a lot of people, it's like 2 people, but still, I saw a lot of people use this statement by the old man to say that, oh, Maki's a bomb, she never learned symbol domain, she very easily could have, because he uses the cursed energy channeled into his cursed tool to perform new shadow style. Pretty darn impressive. Which at least implies he's only using the cursed energy stored in the cursed tool. But I do think Maru himself is incomplete. Or not, I keep saying more. I think Tsurugi himself is incomplete. I don't think he's a perfect heavenly restriction user. I think he still has very minute amounts of cursed energy. And the reason I say that is because he was able to be teleported in the first place, because he was recognized as having some form of cursed energy. Right? Because it left the cursed tool behind because it had too much cursed energy. And the ring, it seems like a ward, but as many people point out, it's likely a ward in the same way that Sukuna's finger is a ward. It doesn't have a soul left. It doesn't have any energy left in it. It just has legacy, and like curses will innately understand that. Same thing with Yuta's engagement ring that Maru now wears, or just something more Tsurugi now wears. So I don't know. I wonder if the man's just wrong here, if Maru himself is also using symbol domain, and then maybe drawing on some of the cursed energy of the cursed tool, because he should have some. Because the issue is, if Maru truly is a perfectly heavenly restriction user, he's a bum. He's a bum. He should be air hopping, blitzing around everything. Like, I don't think he's exactly like his grandma just yet. As his grandma mentioned to him, losing stuff will make you stronger. It comes at the cost, but, you know, it'll be worth it. So, like, realistically, if Maru... Why do I keep saying Maru? Why do I keep saying Maru? I'm so focused on him. If Tsurugi had 0/0 cursed energy and could only rely on the cursed tool, I feel like he wouldn't have been able to be teleported in the first chapter, right? Right? Am I dumb? I feel like he has at least a little curse energy. I don't think he's a perfect heavenly restriction user. And number 2, I feel for the people getting on Maki's case for not learning how to do this herself, 1, you could argue it's the progression, but 2, the main reason why Maki likely didn't learn symbol domain is because she couldn't, in the sense of the idea that symbol domain was locked down to... Well, actually, was that before or after the raid? I forget. I think it may have been after, so never mind. I don't know. Looking at it, maybe Maki just couldn't have learned it because she had 0/0 cursed energy, while Maru at least has a little that he could channel into the blade. But essentially, Maki and Toji really don't have cursed energy control at all because they don't have any cursed energy. But essentially, I forget whether or not the symbol domain binding vow was in effect by the time of Shinjuku, or if that was taken care of after. I know we learned about it after Shinjuku, but I forget, because who used symbol domain? We know that Toto learned it from... I think maybe at the point where Maki was in the narrative where she could have learned symbol domain, it was still locked off by that binding vow. I think Ui and Mei took care of that person post Shinjuku, or it may have been pre-Shinjuku. I don't know. But essentially, I'm just trying to scapegoat Maki. Please don't slander my glorious queen Maki. I just think she couldn't do it. I think she couldn't do it because she had no curse energy. And when she didn't learn it, why she did have curse energy, maybe she just didn't want to take the deal. Maybe she didn't want to learn it because Yuki wasn't going to teach her because they hadn't met, and then no one else was going to be able to teach her. Well, who's going to teach her? Toto? I mean, Kusakabe could have, but once again, she would have had to take the binding vow, which would have cost a portion of her life, which she probably would have been fine with. So ultimately, that's my excuse for Maki not knowing symbol domain. But if it truly is the case that Tsurugi is a complete heavenly restriction user and he just has bun stats, that's unfortunate. But if he's incomplete, I think the old man just makes a poor assumption here. I don't think Maru is pure. Stop it. Tsurugi is purely using cursed energy channeled into the cursed. In fact, he uses the cursed energy channeled into his cursed tool. Channeled into his cursed tool, which implies it's inside the cursed tool. I don't know. I don't think this is Maru. Why do you keep saying Maru? I genuinely don't know why I keep saying Maru. I don't think this is Tsurugi purely using the tool, the cursed energy of the tool, right? Because that wouldn't really make sense. I don't think it would. I mean, maybe he could. Maybe it's just an evolution of Symbol Domain. I don't know. It is a new version of it, Maculation. But notably, it does have the same auto-tracking effects that we'll see Kusakabe, or we saw Kusakabe use against Sukuna. So I don't know. It's weird. Symbol Domain is funky. And Tsurugi's ability to use it is also funky, just because we don't know if he's technically perfect or not. Realistically, he should be perfect, right? Because him and Yuka have an age gap, so they aren't like twin siblings. So there's like a Maki and Mai situation where one is holding the other back. But I don't know. It's a very strange state of affairs with him using Symbol Domain, seemingly with the energy just in the cursed tool. I don't know. But very specifically, I saw a Gambler slander Maki, and I was like, no, Gambler, no. But there could be reasons, could not be. But back to the chapter itself. We see that Tsurugi and Takeda go head-to-head as everything cracks, and both the Mother's Wraith and Takeda themselves go in to attack Tsurugi. Once again, thanks to Symbol Domain Maculation being active, the multi-spotted domain, they fall into the auto-react range. So Tsurugi manages to block both at once. It seems like he initially blocks the Shikigami strike, then Takeda strike, then, in some classic good old-fashioned Gege choreography, he uses the backswing into a downswing, right? Like you see he blocks, and then he swings down to clash with Takeda. Then he plants the sword onto the ground to get leverage. Takeda's needle thread or their needle stab whiffs entirely. Then Tsurugi kicks off of. Notably, this seems like a front flip, or no, it seems like a back flip off the blade. Or is it a back flip or is it a front flip? It's hard to tell because note how his feet are facing downward, like his feet are this way, but then on the Shikigami, he plants his feet upwards. So like, how would that work? Would it be if he did backflip, he'd just end up with his feet still facing down? So it's like he did a mid-air twist. Like he flipped off his sword in midair to twist, plant his feet on the Shikigami's face, use it as propulsion to swing down into a spiral downswing straight into Takeda, and sends them flying absolutely through the building, doing crazy Boku bonkers numbers to them. And they admit, was that a fully automatic attack? Wait, no. Was that a fully automatic attack interception against anything that invades his Symbol Domain? It's on now. So that is, like I mentioned, that is the ability that Kusakabe displayed back. And notably, that was only a Kusakabe exclusive ability, which is why I do believe Symbol Domain may have just evolved and gotten easier, because more people have access to it now without entering that binding vow, or there are new stuff with it. I don't know. But it is very impressive that Tsurugi was able to do that and then send the guy flying. Notably, though, he doesn't actually do too much damage. And we'll see that... Okay, so now I think I get it. But then again, it still doesn't make sense because of the end of this chapter. Unless Maru's range is a lot bigger than I think. Because now I see it here. Tsurugi knocks him off the building they were on after they got to the building from this point at the start of the chapter. Clearly he's knocked onto the building. Then they knock him down right back into the school. And then the second he's back in school grounds, Takeda's in school grounds, emerge from darkness, blacker than blackness, purify that which is impure. And suddenly Takeda turns and sees the veil coming down. Or not a veil, a curtain. A curtain! I walked right into a trap. And we see that... I forget this guy's name. What's his name? I actually like him. I'm gonna go back and find his name. Let me see. Gee, I wonder why. Well, that tells it. There he is. No, I'm missing. What's this guy's name? What's this guy? Happened. Voices. Sumerians. Pretend I didn't hear that. Can't wait. I think that's what we can do. I know it's frustrating. I can't go along with them. What is this guy's name? Am I stupid? Can you talk about it now? Where's this guy? Am I stupid? Where's his name? It's not that serious, but I want to know. Information, Maru, how small. Can't go along with them. Where did they insult him? It's a phenomena here. Cases, kids look like, if their builds are similar. Kids' height. 10 of the Sumerian, how old are you? I mean, 19. I didn't hear that. Parents. Hello. What the? Did Mosaki make 100 friends? Can you shut up? Second, I'd say seems like it's. I'm so sorry. I may literally cut this out. I may literally cut this. I should not be linking this guy's name for so long. They seem like they're like the targets. Scariest. Pretty sure Battle Dog get your hopes up. Yeah, we know. Mino. There it is. I'm so stupid. I don't know why. I forgot Mino's name. But Mino was the one who cast the curtain. All right. I'm sorry. I don't know why it took me so long to find his name. But essentially, Mino cast the curtain, and it begins to come down. And they say that fortunately they fell into his. He walked right into his trap. And then Mino says, "Tsurugi, I made sure the school's all cleared out. Don't hold back." And then Tsurugi admits something that's very sad, and once again makes me believe there's no way he's a complete hell restriction user. He says, "Sorry, but I wasn't holding back in the first place," which is the ultimate Tsurugi downscale of all time. Because if you want to look at me directly in my eyes and say that Maki and Toji only have the skills and stats of a first grade sorcerer, I'm going to jump through the screen. But with it being the case, we see that immediately, supposedly Takeda gets back shots from Yuka, who hits him with a juicy, scrumptious, biting twist, literally scratching his back up, causing him to bleed out. And then he gets caught by the Kallion. Now, notably, I'm not sure if a switch happens here or not, but we'll talk about that in a second. We see Yuka admit, "Want some help?" And notably, Tsurugi says, "Help? You know this is your job too, right?" And then Yuka says, "Oh, what? Are we bickering? Are we some bickering old married couple now?" Which, I mean, like, I don't know. I've never, like, I've argued with my own sibling. Maybe it's different, though. But, like, I've argued with my own sibling before. I've never said anything like that. That's weird to say to your sibling. Bickering old married couple? No, we're just bickering siblings. But I guess that's the thing. Maybe. We don't really talk about it in the same way. There is also just a larger age gap between me and my sibling than there is between Yuka and Tsurugi. So, like, I don't know. Just a weird comment. But with it being the case, we see that Tsurugi essentially spills the whole beans. He spills all the bag. He says, "The needles and thread are exactly how they look. He can shapeshift, but there's not many variations to it. Be careful when you take your eyes off him." So this is a case where they probably took their eyes off of him, so I'm assuming a switch may have happened here. As Tsurugi explains, "The guardian spirit itself moves slow, but sometimes it tries to get in the way." And Yuka, there we go, and Yuka's like, "Got it." And we see Tsurugi and Yuka set up for the double team of doom and despair. As Tsurugi draws out the blade, it crickles and crackles. We see that Yuka lunges in from the side and gives Takeda a smack directly to the jaw. And then, as the Shikigami goes in to stab Yuka, trying to take advantage, we see Tsurugi flip off of Yuka's shoulder into a slash to literally split the Shikigami's head straight down the middle. And then Tsurugi takes the momentum, lands, having pushed down on Yuka, sends her into a full spin, so she can then combo into the Shikigami herself with another biting claw strike to immediately chunk it again, as Tsurugi gives Takeda side shots of doom and despair. Beautiful display of choreography, some good old classic Gege masterclassing, and some beautiful perspective work here by Yuji Iwasaka sensei. Just straight unbelievable gas. But with that being the case, we see that Takeda admits, "Oh, so their partnership isn't just addition, it's multiplication." So essentially what he says here is that these two working together are much stronger than the sum of their parts, right? Ultimately, they provide a greater dualistic force, which I think is a good theme to spread. They do that the siblings, while they have their differences and they have their own little conflicts, are still more than capable as fighters together, and I think that's very, very sweet. But with that being the case, we see they both slash down everything, and it seems like it's all over, right? We see the Shikigami fall, all split in half. We see Takeda what against the ground, and both are breathing a bit heavy. And notably, Tsurugi asks, I almost said Maru again. Tsurugi asks, or no, Yuka goes, and then Tsurugi's like, Yuka? And then the real, or at least I'm assuming the real Takeda pops out from the bottom of the Shikigami with a needle at hand and asks, "You out of stamina already?" And then immediately stabs Yuka directly through the shoulder, only for Tsurugi himself to get what seems like 3, but no, there are only 2 drawn here. But there's like a third. Well, I guess this is blood, right? Yeah, this is blood. So 2 separate needles straight to the chest. If you remember, there are 3 needles on the side of the chapter. Yuka gets hit by one, Tsurugi gets hit by another, and Tsurugi goes, "Yuka!" only to get stabbed himself twice. And we see that Takeda admits, You underestimated my shape-shifting skills." And we see the Shikigami rise up again. And then Takeda explains, "I transform using human skin for my fabric. I can also pack the guardian spirit's skin inside the guardian spirit's body inside the skin, like so." So essentially, they were never actually fighting, or at least Tsurugi and Yuka were never actually fighting Takada himself, at least from my understanding of it. What they were fighting was the Shikigami in control of the Marmalade Boy, right? And that explains why it was looping earlier. Obviously, I'm assuming it's like a somewhat direct link where Takada can control what the Shikigami says, because that would explain the loop on top of the senility. It could be a mix of both, where like the copy only has limited lines, and then the copy also has limited lines, and the copy still can be somewhat controlled, because notably he does fight very, very well, and notably is fast, as Tsurugi points out. But the one thing I was very worried about, or not even worried about, the one thing I was a little concerned about, I don't know how they got here. Like, notably, but I think the main reason why I don't know why they got here is because the time between 4 and 5, for like how much time has passed, is very, very vague. Like, we don't know how far away the Takada household that Tsurugi was supposedly at was from the school, but we'll note that they arrive on this building here, so they're clearly not still at that house. They move all the way here, and then Tsurugi knocks them down back into the schoolyard. So they're back at the school, but the only reason I'm very confused about that is because of the end of this chapter, because we see that after, and the reason, a thing I was also confused about in the chapter was like, why are there so many bodies here if he just wants to live as a first grade forever and ever and ever? Why didn't he just stick with the Callion excuse and just like live in his own house or stuff like that? One, he doesn't view human life the same as he used to, supposedly, and also I transform using human skin for my fabric. So all those corpses and bodies we saw and the skeletons, that's because he literally took their skin in order to use his ability. So that's why there are bodies on bodies on bodies. He had to keep looping over and over again, because without that, he wouldn't have been able to consistently use his ability. And he says, and the reason I'm so a little confused on how they got to the school so fast and where everything is because he says, well, this is boring. See, there's not much to be gained from killing each other. I lost a few marbles from my arithmetic set. I gotta go home and look for them. Which is interesting. It implies that Takada was actually going to spare these two for some reason or another. But there is no time for that, as suddenly everything begins to rise. The stones, the earth, the tools, even the very bones they dug up. And we see that Takada asks, what was that? And Tsurugi looks on in horror and asks, Maru? Now, this is why I'm confused. Wasn't Maru still at the house? Like, unless his range is really large, they traveled all the way back to the school between chapters. They were at a house, then went one building between schools, and then now they're all the way here at the school. And notably, the school is surrounded by a curtain, right? So they were at a house last chapter. That is a thing. Because remember, they thought they were at a house. I don't think it's like, what's his name, uses a domain expansion or anything. I don't think he, like, unless he set up a super fake house. Like, unless the house was right next to the school, which it doesn't, well, this house clearly isn't. But the house that Tsurugi and Maru were at, like, unless I'm confused, which I may be, they were at a house all their own, right? They weren't still at the school. Hold on, let me see. Were they still at the school? Maybe that's it. Swing set. No, yeah, because they say they go to his house, right? Because Masayoshi, all the names so familiar, Mother's Name became a spirit. Let's dig in this spot first. Yeah, so I'm not sure how far away the house is from the school, but it is weird. Unless Maru has, like, dumb, stupid range, it's weird that they're able to feel Maru, considering they traveled seemingly decent distance, at least a whole building away. But overall, now with me somewhat understanding that maybe Maru's just closer, and that they clearly traveled here off-screen and through the mix of fighting through the chapter, it is interesting that Maru's abilities presumably have the range to reach from whatever fake house he was planted at with these skeletons and bodies, and now is raising everything. And this is a very fantastic freaky deaky image. I love the idea of the third eye just opening up, and seemingly, obviously it's just like looking upwards, but it's looking at the reader. Very, very good. So overall, a W chapter. The two complaints I had, I now solved. I kind of get it. I get why he caught the bodies anyway, even though he says, I don't really care about taking life anymore. It doesn't feel anything. He was going to spare Tsurugi and Yuka, because I guess he just doesn't need any more human skin right now, so he was kind of chilling on that. That explains why he got the bodies, and they were fighting this entire time. There's some off-screen fighting in chapter 4, or between chapter 4 and 5, that led him to that building top, and then Tsurugi knocked him down into the schoolyard where the curtain was cast. So there is that. And then I guess the only thing I'm interested in is the start of the chapter here in regards to the water girl. Why show us this unless to just imply like a little time skip? I don't know. But overall, sorry, that was weak. A W chapter. I like it a whole lot. Do I like it as much as last chapter? Not really, but I do like the twist of the Marmalade Boy being the Marmalade Boy and not actually being like the real sorcerer who is hidden underneath his Shikigami. I like how both Yuka and and so you were outplayed. I don't know why Yuka's so tired though. Like I don't really fully get that one. I don't know why she's tired after what, like 2 attacks and no real damage done to her. Like literally, she shows up, does one biting twist, and then does another seeming biting twist-esque attack on the Shikigami, and then she's huffing and puffing all tired. Like, I get it, she's young, but even then, she's young. Like, you don't have more stamina than this, but with it being the case, that happened. I like everything about that, but last chapter was just a little bit more solid because I appreciated the twist more. But I am very excited to see what Maru's about to cook, so overall, let me hit it for the 2 times. Much better, much better. A W chapter. If you haven't always seen this video, please leave Rise Up Once Again. There we go. Rise Up Once Again in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that notifications so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also even have a Patreon below where you support me for as low as $1 a month. The things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. So now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include live reactions or the series I am to review, ad reactions of all my videos, and if you come into a $12 Patreon tutorial member, you can order every video you want. Some of those live reactions that you would get are including the live reaction to this and every other previous chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo and any future chapters as well, along with live reactions to Fortnite to the Apocalypse. But now, of course, I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Redwolf 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Guillaume, Buddha Uda, Alex Kenny, Enzo, Swift Strike, Autumn Mornings Lazo, Super Flame Zero, Yuki Ally, Azo 2404, Striker Man, Aso 8, Damon Brown, Crepanem, DBT, Plant Crone, Grim, Black Sage, Marco 222, Straw, Ollie, and Twisted. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our line art tier patrons: Victor Raji, Dreadzoan, A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, and Midnight Lord 21. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our Ink tier members: Austin Wimberly, Ayuchia, King, RTX, and Shrimpo60. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. Then, I'd like to give a final big ol' thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Walkie Munoz and Walkie Munoz.